Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new week of CLX Foundry Live. I'm your host, who's the ghost the most and back from the dead. It's DJ Blue PDX, and joining me live from our uninfected studios there in Wichita, Kansas, it is our lead technical expert, Paul Steffens, and today's master builder, it is Zach Hillingsworth.
Hi.
Let's go.
Hello.
Gentlemen,
Hi.
I am I'm realizing I'm much brighter than I intended to be. It's probably because I've been pale, coughing my lungs out. Which, by the way, did you know you could wash your lungs?
I did not know that.
I did. I basically coughed them out, put them into the sink, rubbed them down, and then put them back inside. It was not an easy thing, but no pain, no gain. I'll tell you what is going to be painful is us trying to tell everybody that this is what we call coming soon. Why? Because it's a brand new design that is coming soon.
Very, very soon.
So, look at this thing. Look at this thing. And it comes in both black and white. Look at this. It's so awesome. I love it. This is great. Suzaku the Red. First time message over on the Twitch side. Hello. Welcome in. Look at the top of that. Dang. Somebody let Kyle smoke a doobie. All right.
We got lots of solder in.
There we go. Now, this is, of course, going to be a marketing build because what we're going to do is going to put this together, kind of test it, take some pictures, see what it does, see how it rolls out. So, the first question I have after having been gone for the last week is, what happened last week? I'm just kidding. Let's go with the parts in the PC.
We started No Shave November. You're involved.
True.
That is something that will never happen for me. Yep. I'm having what's called Sober November.
Oh, okay.
That's how I'm contributing to this. We'll see how long that lasts. In the meantime,
Alrighty, so going inside of this build here, starting out with our processor, we've got the Intel Core Ultra 9 285K, the brand new hotness. For our cooler, we've got the 360 AIO, the CLX quench in black. This does have the RGB cap on it as well. For our motherboard, we've got the Asus ROG Strix Z890-E gaming Wi-Fi. Very cool looking board. Got a whole bunch of new features on that. For our memory, we've got 2 sticks of XPG 16GB DDR5 6000 Speed Lancer blade in black with the RGB heat spreader, so a total of 32 gigs of RAM. For our storage drive, we have a single 2TB ADATA 800 gold NVMe M.2. And for our video card, we've got an Asus ROG Strix RTX 4080 Super in black. This is a really nice looking card. It does come in white as well. For our case, this is brand new. The white is out now. The black one will be coming soon. This is the NV5 Circuit Runner Edition. Really like all these. We'll show you these panels off as Zach gets them off. We've got 8 of our GameDS Aeolus M2 fans in black and a MSI 850 watt 80 plus gold modular power supply.
Nice. We got so many things to talk about that. So hopefully that answers your question, my friends over on the TikTok side of the world. Vortex Viper TTV was like, listen, take my money.
Yeah, I love this one.
My money.
That's what he said. That was the actual voice and inflection that was used, and I stand by that message. Over on the purple side, we've got Jimmy Yo and Silent J in a house. Joey Wheels is here. Suzaku, or is it Suzaku?
Hello, everyone.
It could be either one. That's a nice looking design. Thank you, Joey. We got Demon Dread, and then, of course, over in the YouTube sides, we got Hop and Bob, and then down on Facebook, let's see here. We got a whole bunch of new people. Well, we've got Nolan Blake Howard. Good to see you again. I'm back. I'm alive. I have not died yet. Robert Portugal. Hey, bud. I haven't seen you since the last time I was on stream. Says, I'll be receiving my CLX Raw tomorrow. I'm super stoked. Was sad that I couldn't see it built here, but I'm just glad that I'll have a quality PC. You dang right you are. Absolutely agree.
Discord.
Yes, please put your pictures in the Discord. Now, here's a couple things to remember, people. During this show, we like to treat it as an educational exercise and an opportunity for us to teach you some of the most amazing things that these guys probably know about building PCs that the rest of us just might not. So if you have questions about any terminology that you hear, questions about building your own PC, issues you're having with your PC or otherwise, feel free to throw it in there. We'll definitely ask. Hopefully we'll be able to answer it, but at no point should you ever consider there's a thing as a stupid question. That's not a thing that exists in the world. Hey, Robert, you reached out on the Discord. We just want to like put it in the.
We want to see pictures of it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we want to see is their pictures.
Once you get it all set up and running.
Yeah. Yeah, and if you were reaching out regarding getting it built in the show, God, that backplate's gorgeous. And it wasn't something that was an option. That probably is what happened. Let's see here. Do y'all help with those that aren't spec smart, needing a new streaming PC setup? Vortex, let me tell you, this is going to be the show for you. You're going to love it. Let's start off by talking about, though, our very first piece of equipment. This is the brand new Asus ROG Strix. It's the Z890E gaming Wi-Fi. Now, the 890, I have a, 690 or 790? I think I have a 690.
I believe you have a 790. Maybe you have
okay.
I think you
I have a 6 or 790. And I thought mine was cool. This is rad, and here's why. Let's start with that I/O shield for starters, because this is like maximum connectivity. You're going to freaking love this. Starting at the very top, we've obviously got our display port up there, followed by a lateral HDMI, which is interesting. You got your CMOS buttons and your reset buttons. And of course, we've got 9 different. Now, this is here where it gets real fun. 9 USB 10 gig ports. These are USB 3.2 Gen 2 high speed, high power ports. There are 7 Type A's, 1 USB Type C, and then a USB Type C with a 30 watt power distribution fast charge port. Okay, that's wild. That means you can charge up your Samsung in about 4 minutes. Grand. Down below there, of course, we've got all the rest of our ports, plus a 5 gig Ethernet port. Now, interestingly enough, we've seen for a long time that the standard on these boards has always just been 2.5. Now, we've got Strix just stepping the game up once again. And here we go, 5 gigs on that Ethernet port. You got your 2 gold-plated audio jacks, plus your optical SPDIF out. And, of course, your Wi-Fi antennas. Now, when it comes to connectivity, this is going to be a wicked beast. Wicked. Going to be incredible. By the way, 2 of those USB-Cs are also Thunderbolts. Thunderbolts? That's not a word. Thunderbolts. Wow. Yes. So, Paul, dare I ask? Or no? What's the difference?
With the Thunderbolt versus like a regular Type C, I believe the Thunderbolt's going to charge and transfer faster. I don't know the exact speeds out, but they're blazing fast.
Gotcha. You know what else is blazing fast? Hardcore processors. You know what we're going to be using as a processor in this board? We're going to be using an Intel Core Ultra 9 285K. Now, these are a little bit different than previous generations, including the 12th, 13th, and 14th gens. So, Paul, what's up with this processor, dog?
Yes, this is 24-core, 24-thread processor. It's got a base speed of 3.7, and it will boost all the way up to 5.7. Now, these processors, from what we've seen, have been very power efficient. That's kind of one of the big changes. But yeah, we'll be testing this PC as well, so we'll have more info soon.
While they're getting that put in their Vortex real fast, we're going to go over a little bit about the website and how to use it here in just a little bit. That being said, though, yeah, listen, I am not the most tech savvy person, and I feel like I'm pretty rock solid on some stuff. But no, we have a foolproof way of doing it so that you won't screw up or get the wrong parts. And it's all right there on our website. For more information, head on over to clxgaming.com. Popping over to the purple side, Astrogino said there's a 1 promo code where's a 1 promo code so I can buy one of the 4090 Beast machines you guys have? You know what's funny? I work here and I don't even have one of those. So there we go. Michael Doherty's in the house. So's G-Code. What's up, Thundercats? Oh, hello. Let's see here. Robert says, definitely will. I believe it's a Sakura season version of the raw O11L. Yes.
Nice.
Oh, dude. Yeah, that's going to be so gorgeous. Once again, in that thread in the Discord, please, we always ask everybody, if you've got a CLX PC, show us what you got. Show us what you got. Mine is basically covered in green screens and lighting. So there we go. Along with my margarita duck. Because reasons. Now, with that being said, we've got to have a way of cooling this little processor down, because I can only imagine that, much like other Intel Core 9s, that this Ultra is going to probably need to be cooled, right?
Oh yeah, we're still going to need a cooler for this. These processors do get warm.
Well, for that, we're going to be using a CLX Quench 360 AIO, and it is a black RGB edition, which is super fun. I do want to point out what Zach is doing. Zach, walk us through the process here, because you've got the little grid out.
Yes.
But so walk us through what you're doing right now.
So this is thermal paste. Thermal paste is what moves the heat transfers, same thing. It transfers the heat from your processor into your heat distribution device, whether that is a heat sink or a liquid cooler or all-in-one like what we have here. And having a nice thin layer of some good thermal paste can help promote good overclock numbers and just keep the system running cool on a static base at a set base, and it just makes it a lot easier for doing fun stuff with your computer. Having nice thermal paste.
Nice. Well, there you go.
That grid
And so
always
therefore,
looks
you don't
cool.
actually need that little hex pattern this time.
No.
Gotcha. Okay. Good question coming in from Robert Portugal over there on the Facebook side. It says, does the Intel Ultra stack up to the latest AMD? I know that the difference isn't massive, but AMD seems to have a slight edge.
That's what it seems like right out the gate. I'm sure stuff will change, and it's all going to depend on what you're using it for. So we'll just have to see. We did build a 9800X 3D last week. I haven't done any testing on that one. So we'll just have to kind of wait and see. But
Expectations Met says, I took my old electronics to a pawn shop, but they wouldn't accept them. They said they needed to be brought in anti-static bags. What? I mean,
well,
that
if
should
you're
be
around here, we can give you a carload of anti-static bags.
right. We've got bags upon bags of bags. Jump back over here to Vortex on the TikToks. It says, I stream through a gaming laptop. I need a legit build. I'm gonna be honest. Listen. Do not eat thermal paste. I agree. Hey, Temperance, how's it going? Now, here's one thing I will say about all of this. So when it comes to streaming, it doesn't require a whole heck of a lot of processing power to stream. I stream at 60 FPS 1080p with a 1440p 144 FPS pass through on a system with a Ryzen 5 3600X. Let's talk about old 6-core processors. That's one of them. 16 gigs of RAM, and it is DDR3, and then I have a GTX 1070. That's what that plus my AverMedia card. My AverMedia card is where all the hardcore processing goes through, but that's all I need. I mean, right now, even just streaming here, I'm barely using. Yeah, I'm pulling 63% on the GPU, 56 on the memory. That's it. So really, it doesn't take a whole lot of wildness to get that stream going. But Ben Chouchon, hello. Good to see you. How long is the warranty? The CLX warranty, Willie Cush asks over on the green side. Well, I'll tell you what, with any CLX purchase, you get yourself a lifetime labor and lifetime technical support. Your parts can come up in 3 different variants. So you can either choose the baseline, which is a 1-year warranty on parts. We also offer a 2 and a 3-year option. So in the event something goes sideways, you got it handled, and here we go. And that's how we do it. Oh, yeah. So Robert Portugal down on the Facebook side mentions, let's say you have an already built PC and you had to change out components. What would you folks say is the easiest component to change, and what would be the hardest? Ooh, yeah.
Graphics card, easiest.
Yeah, graphics card is
storage
probably the
devices.
easiest. Yeah, memory's pretty easy too. Processor's probably going to be the hardest, not because of like the process that goes into it. It's just you can really damage things if you mess it up. So, yeah.
I'd say the
Installing
process
storage
probably-
devices.
Yeah.
If you're installing like SSDs or HDDs, you want to make sure that you power SATA them and data SATA them. That's sometimes forgotten, is that, you have to plug them into the SATA ports on the board too for them to
Yeah, well, that even
register.
gets forgotten here every now and then. We'll plug a system up and be like, why is only the M.2 showing? It's like, oh, the hard drive didn't get plugged in.
Oops, my bad. Alrighty. Now, we're going to talk about some RAM. Now, unlike Murphy's Law, which says if it jams, force it. If it breaks, it needs replacing anyways. Please don't ram your RAM into your board. We're going to be using two 16 gig sticks of XPG DDR5 6000 in black. These are great sticks, some of the fastest we've got out there right now on the site, and that's what I have. I have 64 gigs of DDR5 6000, and trust me, this thing is basically just flying constantly. But it's also great because during the winter, I'll just play games on Ultra, and then I'm warm in a t-shirt.
There you go.
Now, this is what I really want to talk about. This is new for them, and a new design and a new construction. So what we've got right here that's in Zach's hands, this is a heatsink, but it's a heatsink for an M.2, and it's a very unique heatsink. Zach, tell me about this.
Yes, so this is ROG's new quick detach. I like their lock on it. It's on a lot of their new 800 boards. It's a little bit different, the heat shield across the motherboards, but this one's pretty cool. It kind of has a ghost, a smoke plastic that's covering up the heat pipe. And then we have even more NVMEs underneath, more heat sinks. So pretty nice quick release design, makes it a lot easier for just toolless, not having to unscrew a little NVMe or little.
Don't worry about losing that little M.2 screw, which is nice.
Right. Got a good question coming in from MLP Juan. Hello, Juan. How are you? Is a 4000D Corsair case good?
Yeah, that's a solid case.
There's your answer. Yep. And now the quick release of obviously is going to be something special for the graphics card. Well, we'll talk about that in just a moment. Right now, let's talk about the way that the operating system is going to be logged in, and that is going to be a 2 terabyte ADATA 800 gold NVMe M.2. That's your little bitty kickstand that looks like a stick of gum, but unfortunately, it has a lot more processing power than a stick of gum. Paul?
Yeah, these M.2 drives are insanely fast. So this is an NVMe, that's the transfer protocol. So that's the so that is way faster than like a traditional 3.5-inch hard disk drive. Fits right on the board. These are just becoming really common now, and it's always good to have that be your base drive, even if you don't have a ton of space on it. If you just go with like a 1 terabyte, put your OS and a game on there, you can use a hard disk drive for secondary storage.
Ben Shushan mentioned, plugging in the RAM is very fun. Joy Wheels says, great, just when I went through the DDU process 2 days ago, LOL. Back over onto the TikTok side. Vortex. Oh, first of all, what's up, Giga Chat? Been a minute. Vortex mentions that my brother and brother-in-law are the family techs. I'm just the streamer.
Nice.
Always the bridesmaid, never the bride. Top G mentions, is it cheaper to order a pre-build or build your own? Ooh, that is a little bit of column A, a little bit of column B. Paul?
Go look at the pre-builds and figure out what you want, and then build yours.
Yeah, figure out what you
make
want.
some
if there's one
adjustments.
you're looking at, you can look at that, and then you can go try to price the parts on your own. It might be, you might find it's a little bit cheaper dollar-wise if you just buy all the parts individually and put it together yourself, and that's fine. If you want to do that, you can. We encourage some DIY stuff, but if you go through us, we're going to take care of you. You got a company that's backing you. You're not going to have to call a bunch of other tech supports if you can't, like maybe your RAM went bad, but then it turns out it's good. Well, now you got to call someone else for your motherboard and all that good stuff.
Or your power supply.
Or your power supply. So you buy a system through us, it's going to be professionally built. We're going to take care of you for life. So
you don't have to test it to make sure it.
Yeah, it's going to be out of the box, ready to go.
If you want it with a little overclock on it, we can do that.
You can. Okay, I'm just going to say this because I'm going to say it. I'm probably going to get docked for it later, but better safe than sorry. You can always tell the capability of a company based on whether or not they have limited tech support and limited labor. If they're going to charge you to be able to even call them later on down the road, you might want to choose a different company. I'm just saying.
We have.
That's one of the reasons I love CLX. Yep. Love it.
We collect all of the ones and zeros.
Oh, yeah. Now we've got a really, really great case right here. This is obviously our CLX Horus NV5 Circuit Runner edition in black. This is considered what we got, like it's like a 3/4 case on it. So, Paul, what does that mean and how does that work?
So that means this motherboard going inside this case, the tray that it's sitting on isn't all the way at the bottom. So that gives us a little bit more room in the back of the case. For this one specifically, there's a door that swings out behind the motherboard that you can put extra storage drives in. We've got good room for cable management. On some 3/4 build, the power supply will be in the back. This one is actually in the bottom of the case under this PSU shroud.
Yeah, PSU shroud. What does that mean?
So that is this area right here that you can see at the bottom of your screen. Our power supply is going to be inside of here, and this shroud just has some nice lighting elements, so it looks cool, but it also keeps the power supply in its own compartment. So it's going to get its own intake in from the bottom and shoot that air out the back, so none of the heat gets into the main body of the case.
Ben Sushan mentions, looking forward to when AI can optimize overclocking for me. Interesting. Suzaku the Reds asks, are there any good articles or videos on Crash Course for this kind of thing? Looking for what I need for gaming / streaming / video editing, but not sure where to start. I can help with that.
I would say I don't have any specific like articles or anything, but DJ does this full time, so he's...
Yeah, I've been a content creator, a streamer, music producer for 10 plus years. So
we call that a
when
decade.
It comes to
it's okay. It's okay admitting that you're a fine wine.
What the?
I'm a fine wine.
So here's the thing, Hashim, welcome. What's going on, man? When it comes to Suzaku, I've got a couple of big questions. First of all, when it comes to, you mentioned that regarding gaming, streaming, and video editing. So when it comes to video editing, my first questions are is also going to be in line with gaming. Are you on a single PC system to do all of this, or are you on a dual PC system? If you're on a single PC system, you need a pretty robust level of I would say level of components, because you want to make sure that you've got enough RAM and you've got enough processing power, so that if you're using like some industry standards like After Effects or anything from the Adobe suite, anything from Blackmagic like DaVinci Resolve or Pro Tools or anything of that nature, you're going to need to have a lot of processing power to make sure that the projects don't time out. Now, number two is, if you are, for the gaming streaming portion, make sure that you've got a system that is powerful enough for you to be able to game and stream at the same time. So, like I mentioned before, my streaming PC is pretty basic. It's pretty basic, but it doesn't take a whole lot to stream out. But my gaming PC is a monster. That thing is a beast. But if you're going to be doing this all at once, you got to be able to make sure that you've got the ability to play your game, which is what's being streamed. You need a production window, which is a monitor number 2, so that you've got your OBS up here, your Discord, and then I would say at least a third monitor for chat, and that's where my chat bot goes and my chat overlays. So, and I have 4. I have a 4th monitor for completely ridiculously unnecessary reasons, but those are the things that really need to be considered. I noticed you mentioned it's stream came up on my feed randomly, but it seems kind of serendipitous. Hey, listen, we like to make magic happen. That's what we do, and we're glad to have you here. Would be Adobe editing wise mostly. Okay, yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and just say this, and Jason will probably pop into my ear in a moment. He's our director and our production director. But for anything Adobe, I would recommend minimum 32 gigs of RAM, probably 64 to be safe, 96 if you don't want to have to deal with waiting. But minimum of 32. So, yeah, and that's as Jason was mentioning, a minimum of 64 if you want to try and use 2 different Adobe products at once, which is also true. Now, here's the irony. Here's the irony of this whole thing, is that I used to work for Adobe software. I wrote their technical support training program. So it is ironic. I would definitely recommend taking a look at some other various programs. Again, as much as I love Adobe, I like DaVinci Resolve better. I feel like it's got a better resource allocation than Premiere does. But Premiere is also universal. Everybody's got Premiere. As she mentioned, if you're doing H.264 video encoding, preferably have an Intel CPU or graphics card. Accurate. Accurate. I'm going to wait for Jason to chime in here because I'm not sure if he has an opinion on this one, but yes, H.264 seems to run functionally better with a better translation, and I don't know why that is. I couldn't tell you why that is, but it is a thing. Back over to the TikTok side, Rob asks, DG, do you have opinions? DG just being humble. I'm just being me. Do you have opinions about OBS versus OBS Streamlabs? I do. So,
what's the difference?
How do I say this? Okay, so first of all, Streamlabs OBS
For the people that don't know what OBS is.
So, way back
OBS.
in the day, OBS, or Open Broadcast Source, is the primary piece of software that is freeware that we use as content creators. Now, there are other much more evolved or expanded or
paid for.
Yeah, basically paid for options. You've got out there like vMix, and then there's a bunch of others. vMix is great for production, especially in esports, or like what we're doing with this show. But it does come with a price. So let me go back to the Streamlabs question. Streamlabs OBS is similar to Stream Elements OBS. It is simply another company's augmented version. So think about it like this. You could get a Founders Edition 4090, right? Or you could get an EVGA, or not an EVGA, damn it. That sucks, I can't say that anymore. Or you could get an MSI, okay, 4090. Or you could get a PNY 4090. So think of Streamlabs as a variant off of the baseline, okay? The difference is that with, now granted, oh God, I don't know if I should say this. I'm partnered / sponsored by Streamlabs. So Streamlabs gives you some really great opportunities. Like, for example, when you want to travel, if you're going to be going, like whenever I was going and doing streams at RTX or at DreamHack or at PAX, or, you know, if I was at E3 or whatever, that gives you, you can just basically have everything in the cloud, and then the software loads it all into this, whatever system you're on, and it's individualized. So once you log out, everything gets deleted. It's fantastic once you get it completely up and running with your stuff. At home, I use OBS Studio, which I'm sure I'm going to catch hell for. But yeah, and yeah, that Jason brings up a good point, which actually I always forget. So Streamlabs actually gives you the ability to go live on multiple platforms. Now, I can manage to do up to 5 from OBS Studio with the plugin, but you can do it both vertical and portrait. So portrait and landscape. So imagine if I was doing this, right? But I was streaming and gaming, but I also wanted to be on like TikTok. Okay, I want to have that tall format. It would be fantastic. So that allows you to do all of this at one time. There are plugins you can get that are going to allow you to do that, but it's kind of all about being different. And also, Temperance has a good point here. It's software you are comfortable with and are the ones that you have to use. Now, for clarity purposes, because when I switched, okay, this is going to be a story that I probably don't need to tell, but it doesn't matter. I'm going to tell it anyways until somebody says to stop talking. When I was originally on, on Twitch, back when I was like partnered for Griffball and for Halo, I used OBS with what at the time was Streamlabs, which was a separate program. So you could program all of your stuff, all of your overlays, all of your alerts and everything through that app, but it didn't have support for Mixer. So when I went to Mixer and got partnered there, I had to ditch them, and I ended up going with Rain something or other. It was a weird one. They were a process, but then basically became Stream Elements. So Rainmaker. That's what it was. I went with Rainmaker and then Stream Elements. So my OBS Studio it's a Stream Elements variant of it, so that I've got all of my Stream Elements stuff just built into the background here. Now, when I stop being lazy, I will get all of that transcoded and translated and ported down to the Streamlabs version, but that takes a lot of time, and I'm going to be very honest. I have a hard time focusing just on which direction to comb my eyebrows. Back over. Do you think gaming using Wi-Fi is just as good as using a wired setup? It depends on your network, Sean. By the way, Sean, welcome to the show. Glad to have you here. Rob says, thanks for the in-depth answer, DJ. I'm just here to ask fun questions to folks who know more than me. Hey, listen. I'm good with it. I'm good. I'm just always with that mindset of like, oh God, am I talking too much again? It's very possible. Willie Cush over on, oh no, we already answered that question. Hi, Willie, but you're still here. Kirsch Long, I would have died a horrible death if my car was on fire and I couldn't leave until DJ finished explaining OBS. I'm sorry, please don't die in a fire. I can always answer this question again. Willie Kush mentioned my SSD went out. You know what? My dad went out once for cigarettes. Never came back.
Rip.
Since we're talking about OBS, can you explain why my wife is always right and I'm always Listen, I'm going to say, and this is coming from, okay. This is coming from a gay guy, but happy wife, happy life. Paul, you have more experience with this. You tell me.
That is the truth. Just apologize and move on.
You get them a bag of the spicy queso Funyuns, and they're good to go.
Spicy queso Funyuns.
They're so good. I was eating
Oh my
cereal
God. Oh my
last
God.
night. Hey, have you also noticed that
They're so
Captain
good.
Captain Crunch has a cinnamon toast Captain Crunch now?
I did not.
Oh, it's like two of my favorite cereals put together. It's so good.
I gotta stay away from the cereal
That is-
because I will eat the whole box.
So,
in a
well,
weekend.
that's how you're supposed to.
Oh,
You
so
open
good.
it up, you pour your milk right into the bag box, and they're good to go.
My kid got Reese's
I was at an
Puffs
event-
Mini. I haven't seen those.
2 weekends ago. I was at an event 2 weekends ago, which I think is where I caught the flu. And they had all these Funyuns, but there was different flavored Funyuns. And I was like, first of all, I ain't seen Funyuns in ages. That's a Piggly Wiggly thing for those of you from the South. And then there's flavors, and the flavors are really good.
Mm-hmm.
Like, what?
I didn't
Why
know
is
there
that a
was
thing?
different flavors of Funyuns. That sounds good.
Oh, it's actually, it's Cheez-Its level awesome.
Yep.
Cheez-Its level awesome.
Gotta eat some
Right?
Funyuns on the next
Yep, there's
magic
some-
night.
Yup.
Curse the dude across from the table.
Yeah.
Right?
Smell these Funyuns.
Had your dad dropped off at school one day and never picked you up? Well, listen, but you were there for the education. There we go. Back over to Tom Walton down here on the blues side. Says, what's the best board for the AMD 9950X? Good question. Paul?
There's a lot of good options out there, so I can't give you like a best. I don't think there's one that's like on top. With motherboards, you can go as all out as you want. The really high-end ones will have a ton of features. For me, I typically go with like a mid-tier board. Even if I was in your position and got like a brand new AMD CPU, I'd save the money and go with a mid-tier board because I'm not going to use all the features that are on it. But if you're a person that does, more reason to go with that. Or I always say whenever there's like part recommendation questions, I always say just go with a well-known brand. There's a ton of them out there. Asus, Gigabyte, there's MSI, ASRock. There's a ton of good ones. Just make sure it's a well-known brand.
Sean Gross asked an interesting question. It says, why does MSI have a bad rap for a motherboard? I'm going to be honest, I don't know what you're talking about. MSI boards are pretty darn awesome.
Yeah, I haven't had.
I'm a ROG Strix guy though, but
I've been a really big fan
MSI
of ASRock recently, which ASRock kind of had not the best reputation, but it was like a decade ago. They've really stepped their game up, and
they changed out their tooling and their production line, and it's working out really, really well. Do you know what else is working out really well? is the opportunity to grab a brand new card, and this, of course, our GPU. This is an Asus ROG Strix RTX 4080 Super. It is a 16 gig in black, and what's really fun is all the colors this thing is going to shine out. Paul, point to that whole rim on the far side of it where the enclosure is it's a light. It goes all the way around it. It's awesome. It's so much fun. Now, these cards obviously are big. This is a chunky looking card. Paul, how does it feel in your hands?
This is a heavy card for sure. You definitely.
Is that raised? I'm over here pointing at my monitor like you can see what I'm talking about. Is the eye for the ROG, the eye of ROG, is that raised?
It is a little bit. Yeah.
What?
A little bit.
That's so cool.
It is cool. These are really
It's
good.
legit. I love it. I absolutely love it. So, when it comes to weight on this card, how does it feel? And what's different from this than others?
So it is a heavier card. Now this is a 4080 Super. This is definitely going to be one of the largest ones for a 4080 Super. So that means it's going to cool really well, but you are going to want to make sure you've got an anti-sag bracket built into your case. So we do have one of those in this. The NV5s do all come with one built in. If you don't have one built in, you can get an aftermarket one as well.
There we go. Yes, by the way, the question from Willie Cush over there about a new Discord link. There you go. That should be enough for you. ROG Strix is awesome. Definitely a fanboy, says Rob. Yeah, Rob, listen, I got ROG Strix card, ROG Strix board. I pulled the ROG Strix of everything I could on this thing. And it's gorgeous. It runs like a beast. Yep. I dig it. Okay, so let's see here. What shark? You should see the outer shell. Hold on. Where'd shark go? Oh, yeah, they're building a beauty. Yes, we are. By the way, thank you. Welcome in. How you doing, 408 Shark? And yeah, you should, once you see the siding, it's going to be
All right, I can pull a couple panels, give you a little bit of a tease.
Rob mentions 4090s are super heavy. I have another PC that was shipped without disconnecting and it was damaged. No! Who shipped you? No, I don't even want to know. That's so just FYI. First of all, look at that print job. That print job is so sick, dude.
It is. So these are just a couple of the panels. We do have this on also. This is our top panel right here, and this is the back. These things look amazing.
They look so awesome. I love it. I dig it. It's so cool.
We have a 1 year warranty.
Oh, was NZXT sent it to you? Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Rob. Jumping here on the purple side. I started playing Cyberpunk on the Steam Deck and loving it. Been having Keanu Reeves with me all the time. Cosworth, what's up, dude? That is awesome. Narkill 607 says, I want to stream and play games. What is a good recommendation? Okay, so I'm gonna throw this out there.
Elden Ring's a really good recommendation.
God damn it. So my question, Narkill, is: are you streaming from a console or from a PC? Are you wanting to go with a single or dual PC setup if you're doing PC gaming? Those are the big questions right there. I would like having Keanu with me at all times. He could 100% get me to call him daddy. Oh yeah, la la. PC dual setup, Narkill says. Okay, cool. Then yeah. So here's when it comes to your PC, your gaming PC is going to need to be the most robust, the most powerful, because you've got some incredible games that are coming out that have huge, massive demands. Now that makes it a lot easier for streaming because you can for me, my gaming PC takes all it does is gaming. That's it. All of my communications, whether from Discord to OBS, my chat bots and everything else, are all on the streaming PC. Now, the streaming PC does not have to be that crazy. It doesn't have to be that wild. Again, I'm on a Ryzen 5 3600X with 16 gigs of DDR3 RAM and a 1070. And what really matters in that situation is your capture card. I'm an AverMedia guy, so I use the AverMedia capture card. I like the Duo personally because it's got 2.1 HDMI 2.1 and a secondary auxiliary input for HDMI.
We have Elgato.
And we've got Elgatos. We've got everything you can think of from Elgato here on our website. and that's also amazing. They've got the 4K in card. I would also recommend doing a PCIe card, not an external. Do it internal. It's a lot better on the processing. And I know we carry the 4K.
4K 60?
The 4K 60 from them, which also has a good pass through on it. But when it comes to that, I would definitely, again, DJ, do not read the last statement out loud. God, listen, lady. Listen, Linda. Yeah.
Linda.
But Narco, yeah, that would be my best recommendation. Focus on the high-end side of it being for your gaming. Again, as you heard, I've got a very minimal setup here but it works great. I can stream 1080 60 and do a pass-through of 144 with no problems at 1440p. This machine, though, is an i9-13900 KF on a Asus ROG Strix Maximus Formula with 64 gigs of DDR5 6000, a 1 terabyte operating system M.2, a 4 terabyte M.2 for the gaming, and then a custom 3090 OC for my graphics card, and it's all liquid cooled. So that's a heck of a lot of power. And the only thing this does right now is just games. And then when I'm working on music production, I will do that on this machine because it's got the power to do so. But I ain't never going to have that thing turned on at the same time. It's either gaming or production, but it's one or the other. You can't do them both at the same time. Do any power supplies still use the single pins, or are they all together now? Asks Sean. Sean, that is a great question.
So Sean, I'm a little confused on single pins. So with the power supply we're using right here is a modular power supply. So none of the cables are pre-soldered in. So each cable has its own port on the power supply. There are non-modular power supplies where all the cables are pre-soldered in. It looks like they come out as like one chunk and then they all separate out. So both of those still exist. I'm not sure if that answers your question, but we really like using these modular power supplies. They make building a lot easier. You can install your cables before even having the brick in. So they're really nice to build.
Sean mentions it's been a while since you built a PC. Listen, if you build a good PC, then it means you're going to have to... You get a while until you have to build a new one because you built the first one right. Now, one thing I do want to point out about this build, which is super awesome, is the fan design. As you can see from this shot, we've got our 3 fans in the back, which will be pulling air in. Our 1 fan on the bottom, which will be pulling air up and helping with that airflow directed towards our graphics card. The other 4 fans are going to be going up 3 through the top against the radiator to help cool down that processor. Your rear fan, which is going to be exiting any of the hot air out the back, which creates a nice little bit of a vortex. So you've got a really good throughput of air. And that's very important. For what reason, Paul? How does that affect performance?
So that keeps everything inside here cool. So at the beginning of the build, when we were building our board, we were talking about those M.2 heat shields. So the heat from the M.2 is obviously going into those heat sinks, but that heat's got to get taken away, and that's what our case fans do, and they do that for all the components inside of there.
Sean mentions, yes, didn't know how to word it. Listen, I don't know how to word most things.
Well, I think I understood. So yeah. Yep. There's modular power supplies, non-modular, and then there's some semi-modular. So a semi-modular is typically going to have your 24-pin, your 8-pin CPU, and sometimes a 6+2 for a VGA soldered in, like a non-modular, and then the rest of the cables are modular. They're a little bit more uncommon. If you're putting a build together, I'd always recommend going non-modular like what we have here because it's so much easier to build. You can always add the cables in later if you need them.
Yes. Now, one thing to notice that we had that is not on the board is one thing that we've loved is the button, but they've swapped it out for something different. Zach, how does this work?
Yes, so there is no more button over in our corner over here. We have a spring-loaded release button or release tab, and so it always stays in the open mode. And then it's just like normal with installing whatever card you are going to be installing. If that is a small card, you can for sure definitely install it with the computer standing up. But this is a 4 series card, so out of respect for the size and weight of this card, I am laying this beautiful machine down so that we can properly not drop a graphics card. But
which
yes,
is always
yes. Just like any other time installing a graphics card, we want to make sure that our I/O tabs go where they need to be, and then our PCI slot goes where it needs to be. So I usually just line both of those up. This is kind of a little hectic up here. We have lots of heat shields for NVMe drives, but it doesn't give you that nice audible ka-thunk of it locking in place. It just is a very subtle sets in place. So,
A couple things here. First of all, I've got a question. Do you think that that's why on the new Strix boards they've got such complex heat sinks for the M.2s that are right there next to or above the graphics card, because of the amount of heat being put off by the graphics card?
possible.
It's possible. I think it's mostly just a overall aesthetic design thing. The brand new Gen 5 NVMEs have been getting a little bit significantly warmer than the previous generations, so that could be another reason for the taller heat sinks for the M.2s.
Speaking of things that we're going to put on that are taller, let's talk about what's in Zach's hand right here. Now, in order to safeguard your PCIe slot, that your graphics card, your chunky graphics card, I'm not trying to fat shame, I'm just saying that's a big. So we've got a thing called an anti-sag bracket. Paul, what the heck is this as an anti-sag bracket? How does that work?
All right, so as these cards got bigger, this card is a very large, heavy card, so we want extra support on the side that Zach's installing it. With graphics cards, there's typically just a couple screws that mount them to the case in the back. So as the cards get longer and heavier, they will start to sag over time on this side, so that can cause damage to the card and even the motherboard. So having an anti-sag bracket that mounts directly to the case is the best way to keep that secure and prevent damage over time.
Yes. Yes, it is.
I just feel like damage over time. It's like a dot.
Yep.
Yeah.
You don't want your graphics card to take on dots now, do you?
True. I gotta purge those dots.
All right. When someone says dots, do you think of the candies?
Nope.
Nope.
No.
You think of the
Strictly
pretzels?
think of like playing.
What?
No, but those are good.
Okay.
Those Dots pretzels are. They have a honey mustard flavor. Have
Yep,
you ever had?
that's
oh
what we get.
gosh.
This is because it's made with honey wheat,
It's so good.
and so
Ooh,
it's like
well, there we go.
double down on the sweetness.
They are amazing.
Cosmos asks, have you ever seen the new Thermaltake Tower 600? The thing looks like an 80s fish tank, so I want one.
I believe
I
we have. I want to say, I don't know if it was the 600. I think we did do a build in one of those a bit ago.
You know I'm going to go Google that right now, right?
There's a couple. Thermaltake has a few of those cases that are like an aquarium.
Oh my
but we've done some
God.
open loop builds in one of them, but I can't remember if it was a 600 or not.
Yeah. No, that looks like an old school fish tank. That's hilarious. That's ridiculous. And what up, Peaches? How you doing? Sean mentions, do the aftermarket LED lights add too much heat, or are they safe? I mean, if they're LEDs, there's not a whole lot of heat to an LED.
Yeah, it won't add any significant amount of heat there.
If you put thermal, I think it's thermal, or is it Lindley? It's either Lindley or Thermaltake. They have, what am I thinking of? Cable mod kit, but it's light.
Oh, the strimmers?
Yeah, the strimmers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And those come with a warning. Warning, your system has to have very good airflow if you want to put these on. Anything brighter than 70% or 60% white.
Really?
So like if you go like 100%
You don't want to put
white,
anything
it's
hardcore
so
white
bright
anyways.
that they're putting off like some
Dang.
heat. And yeah, so
I never knew that on those.
bizarre.
yeah, I'm sure
Yeah,
if
no,
you know,
definitely did not.
if you
Good
have
to know, though.
all of the RGB in your system, it's going to give you some heat, but a light strip or some fans that's
Yeah, there's enough airflow
They're
in there.
designed that way.
It won't really matter.
I'm sorry, I'm somehow getting music, and I have no idea where it's coming from.
You found it. You found the album I asked about.
Oh!
Oh yeah.
No, it was the Thermaltake website because I went there to look at this. I was like, why do I have audio in my head? What is happening? Oh my gosh. And just as an FYI, people, here's one beautiful thing to tell you is that there's never such thing as a stupid question. Always ask your questions. We've got answers. Even if there may not be the right answer, we've got answers Or we can just say, hey, we might not have an answer. I'll say what we do have an answer for, though, is because we've had a couple questions about how you can get your hands on something amazing like one of these beautiful PCs. So we're going to go through that right now by heading on over to CLXgaming.com. Let's check it out. At CLXgaming.com, we try to make it as easy as possible for you to get the PC of your dreams, including something that looks like that monster that we just built, and it's awesome. So we've got a little bit of everything, whether you want a small form factor, a big form factor, you want something ITX, MATX, there's all sorts of options. And we carry all the big name brands. We've got Intel, we've got AMD, we've got Radeon, we've got NVIDIA. You want capture cards? We've got Elgato's. You want streaming equipment? We've got Beacon Mix Creates and Beacon Mics. And you don't have to worry about screwing it up because, and I know this was a concern, somebody asked about it earlier, so I'm glad we get to talk about it though. In the event that, say, you decide to get two things that aren't going to match, like say you choose a 4090 and then a 650 watt power supply. Everybody knows that's enough power. So the system's going to go from a green button to that yellow button up top, and it's going to ask you, hey, look, you can either have the 4090, but you're going to have to get one of these power supplies, or if you really want this little power supply, you're going to have to choose one of these graphics cards that will actually function in this. Once you fix the problem, the error goes away and you can continue right on your way. Now, we offer a ton of different services, whether you're wanting to overclock your GPU, your CPU, or both. You want to upgrade your thermal paste? We got you. You want to do an open loop where it's actually a full open loop system? We can do that too, which is incredible. We've also got all of our cooling options as well as our accessories, which is the favorite tab of mine. So in the accessories tab, you can choose whether you want to grab a t-shirt, like one of these, or one of our hoodies that I have sitting right over there, but it's a little too warm in here for me to wear it right now. We have got everything else you could possibly think of. You want keyboards, mice, controllers, headsets, microphones, speakers, monitors, routers, chairs. We basically have it all. We're a one-stop shopping center for all sorts of awesomeness. So the one thing I will say is sometimes it gets a little daunting and people get a little bit overwhelmed, which is why we have this area called Ready to Ship. That's our RTS area. Now, RTS or Ready to Ship is a great opportunity for you to take a look at what the baselines are. We've got everything from beginner, entry level, all the way up to ultra performance. And these are going to be the hardcores. Now, the reason why this is great is because you get to see what kind of a balanced build looks like. And then you can take that and use that maybe as your guide to determine, all right, I like this, but I want to switch this drive out. I want to do something different than this graphics card. You can take it, upgrade it, shape it, make it your own. That's the joy of our website. So for all of your future PC needs, whether you are gaming, whether you're doing audio, video, or just need it for PC loving, head on over to CLXgaming.com and see what we can do for you. Wow! There's two! I love it! You spawned another one. That's fantastic. All right. I will say I had to laugh when there was a TikTok of a mom who said my son put me in his phone as respawn point. I'm gonna be honest, I laughed so hard, it was hilarious. Okay, so now let's go ahead and check this out. We've got this coming soon in black. Coming now in white. We'll just say it's all coming soon. But look at that. There we go. Look at the brilliant colors in there. It comes up and definitely lights up that background. That is fabulous. And it's called Circuit Runner, and you will soon be able to find it on our website in multiple different locations or just in the places where those cases are sold. So with that being said, today we do not have an after show. We have we're going to be jumping over. I'm going to be completing the Black Ops 6 campaign, but this show usually happens in two parts. We'll see what we're doing on Thursday. But with that being said, you can find us on Tuesdays and Thursdays right here live starting at 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 Eastern for CLX Foundry Live. To find out more about all of the best of what's going on with CLX Gaming, check us out over at our socials. That is going to be YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Threads, and Twitter. And that's all at CLX Gaming. I refuse to call it X. You can also find us on our Discord. That's discord.gg/CLX Gaming. You can jump in with a whole bunch of like-minded PC enthusiasts and, people like me and them. and all of us. Otherwise, yeah, we look forward to seeing you on Thursday when we kick off again at 11 a.m. And I'm so excited to finally be back and able to breathe. So without further ado, on behalf of Jason and Kyle in production, Paul and Zach, I'm DJ Blue PDX. Stick around. We'll see you in just a few for more Black Ops 6 campaign. And we'll see you Thursday at 11. Peace. We out.
Bye.